Ladies and gentlemen, with Eyjafjalla and Missy banner already gone and new operators are released to CN, I'd like to talk about all of Arknights' upcoming 6-star after this anniversary banner, up until the recent Sui limited banner. Keep in mind the operator's release date is unknown, but we can at least speculate on the limited banner and the one that should come to global next. Okay, global are already at Ideal City event rerun. It's speculated we will get the new operator banner and event after this rerun in late February. And that new 6-star operator is a besieger sniper called Typhon.
ドクター、どこに行ってたんだ？迷子になってたわけじゃないよな。
If Global did follow CN's roadmap, she should have been released before Eyjafjalla and Missy. She is most likely one of the most anticipated characters, for two big reasons. She deals big burst damage, and her chibi animation is hella cool. One of the reasons why she can deal big damage is thanks to her talent 1 defense ignore. That can ignore up to 60% of defense with module upgrade. While talent 2 gives some sweet damage multiplier and a brief slow when she damage an enemy for the first time in each skill activation. Her skills are also mighty interesting. Well, skill 1 is just swift strike, so we'll skip that. You either go for skill 2 or 3. Skill 2 is focus more on dealing constant damage. It gives her an attack boost, can fire 2 arrows and attack 2 targets, which means she can deal double hit if the target is alone. It has a small crowd control utility with that stun. And most importantly, it has infinite duration. And the fact this kind of skill is her skill 2, makes her a good unit for new players who typically don't have much to elite to someone immediately. Meanwhile, skill 3 is when you need to take down a bulky target or bosses. With her firing 5 arrows into the first target location, locking them, and is able to hit that target wherever they go. Each dealing increased damage and a brief stun. All in all, a great sniper to have if you lack someone with enough firepower to kill bulky targets or bosses. Still following CN, the next 6-star after Typhon should be Jessicat.
お久しぶりです、ドクター。
With the power of the Second Amendment and a spoonful of freedom, Jessicat got herself a Sentinel Defender for her altar. Sentinel is an offensive-oriented defender, with some crowd control on the side. But you'll be glad knowing she has plenty of ways to increase her survivability. Her talent 1 allows her to deploy a mobile shield that can block the enemies for some time, or until it gets destroyed. In addition, Jessica and a unit behind her get some defense boosts. But probably the most interesting part is that you can change her direction with this shield, albeit temporarily. Her talent 2 will grant the sad cat some chance to get 1 SP when an enemy attacks her shield. For skills, you can use S1 to permanently increase her defense, shield duration, and a little bit of attack. Although if you want more firepower, you better use S2 or S3. Skill 2 is a good choice to handle multiple enemies with a low or medium defense. It expands her range, increases attack, and she will rapidly fire her rifle toward the enemy. It also comes with a good chance to dodge either physical or arts damage. Skill 3 got the most attack power, with a boost to her defense, and a bigger defense boost for her shield. She can also fire her grenade launcher that deals critical damage and stun enemy when you deploy her shield. Overall, Jessica is a good pick if you want a defender with a mix of good offensive and survival. However, if you need someone who leans more on survivability, the upcoming limited 6-star defender might be for you, or if it's too long, see if other 6-star defender that might get a rate up suits you. A joint operation banner featuring penance should also be released before Jessica. A top tier survival and damager unit, as long as you can maintain her barrier, and well, you did get her. Next 6-star that should comes with episode 13 of the main story, is Hoederer.
イネスと W。二人もここにいるのか。
The man who proved that Crusher Guard isn't all that bad. By having strong hitting abilities, and doesn't get killed too easily, despite having 0 defense and resistance. But still, if you want to use him, better prepare a strong medic or 2. Anyway, thanks to his talent 1, all of his attacks got a small multiplier. which gets bigger if the target is stunned or bound. While talent 2 gives him and the ally behind him an ice sanctuary effect. A very useful buff for him, considering all kinds of attacks he receives are pretty much true damage. As for skills, skill 1 is a next attack type that deals critical damage. And he recovers a big chunk of his HP. Meanwhile, skill 2 is the only skill that doesn't have any HP recovery. But it gives him a permanent attack boost. Can switch to a state where he gets more blocks, and his every attack stuns the enemy. All for the cost of his already slow attack interval becoming even slower. Skill 3 is his best skill to deal damage. It can inflict true damage dot his range expands, HP and attack increase. His attack now recovers some HP, and has a chance to inflict a pretty long stun. If you are lucky enough, you can even stun the enemy until this skill ends. For a 6 star that comes from an unpopular guard archetype, Hoederer is surprisingly pretty good, bringing some strong hitting skills as well as stun utility, but still has that typical crusher problem. And that is he is very squishy. A strong healer is very necessary if you're going to use him. After episode 13, we should get a new limited banner around April. The limited banner will feature 2 of the most anticipated characters in the game, Arknights and Viviana. First let's see Arknights, or Virtuosa for her codename.
どんなムードに包まれて仕事をするのがお好みかしら?
Virtuosa is the first 6-star ritualist supporter in the limited in this banner. She's one of the few who can inflict elemental damage towards enemies, specifically necrosis. One thing worth noting about elemental damage from operators is that it is a new damage type. As far as I know, there are still 0 enemies with any elemental resistance. So it's useful to have someone like her in case the enemy defense and resistance are way too high. And so far, Virtuosa is still considered the queen of elemental damage, for 2, well, fun-sized reasons. One is it's so easy for her to inflict element damage, thanks to her talent 1. That allows her to inflict everyone in range with necrosis, and a brief slow every second. And 2, she's able to inflict a strong necrosis damage, because of her talent 2 and in addition to her skills. Now let's talk about her skills. Skill 1 will make her unable to use normal attacks. But when her skill is ready, she will unleash an increased arts damage, and a bigger necrosis attack. Sounds pretty neat for AFK, but I rather use her other skills. Skill 2 increases her attack speed and attacks another target. In addition, she and another operator with the highest attack within range now deal necrosis in each of their attack. With this skill cost and the right operator, for example her cousin, you can spam necrosis damage to a bunch of enemies. Lastly, skill 3 will expand her range, give her an attack buff, and multiply her second talent, inflicting a very strong necrosis damage towards the enemies. And it also comes with the ability to buff other operators, or herself. All in all, with the ability to inflict strong elemental damage easily, being limited, and play a big part in some of Arknights' stories. Her appeal is really strong, and I do recommend you get this gal. Beside Virtuosa, we have Viviana as the new 6-star arts guard.
まあ、ドクター。何を唱えていらっしゃるのですか?
In Vivian's case, she's a unit with a mix for lane holding, elite or bosses killing, and survival. Thanks to her talent 1, her arts attacks get stronger, and take reduced physical and arts damage. And the effect will be doubled if an elite or boss is in her range. And her talent 2 grants her a pretty small chance to get a shield that protects her from any kind of melee attack, when she's attacking elite and boss. For skills, skill 1 is a next attack type that deals critical damage and hits twice, which can be charged to hit 3 times and reach farther targets with that extra range. Skill 2 will increase her attack and offense, increase block count, now attack multiple enemies, and she will steal enemy attack speed. This skill also comes with a chance to deal an increased damage, which is pretty much the main source of damage for this skill, but sadly it has a pretty low chance. As for skill 3, This is the one you mainly want to use to deal with bosses. She got some generous stat boost, and the chance to obtain shield from her talent 2 is increased. On the second activation and afterward, this skill also has extended range and longer duration. All things considered, Viviana is a good guard to have, especially if you lack a strong 6-star guard, or could really use a stronger arts guard than Supreme Leader Eyja. But is she a must-have? Gameplay wise, I don't think she is very necessary, and I think you can quite easily find a replacement. Especially if you already have Surtur, that Goth Jotun should be more than enough. After this limited banner, we should get the second Yerag event, featuring Degenbrecher, Eyja the Black Knight as the new 6-star Sword Master.
ドクター、今日どれくらい予定が詰まってるかは把握してるわね。
I kid you not, Sword Master keeps getting better and better with each new operator. With Black Knight not only arrives with strong hitting abilities, but also a new type of debuff that currently only came from her. It's unofficially called Tremble. Just like her enemy version, this new effect lets Black Knight disable enemy normal attack when the said enemy is blocked. The source of this new effect is from her talent 1, that gives her a low chance to inflict tremble and deal critical damage. While it is terribly low, but this talent is guaranteed to activate when you use some of her skills. Meanwhile, talent 2 will make her ignore some of enemy defense when she's attacking trembling targets. Now let's see her skills. Skill 1 is a next attack type that deals critical damage and hit twice, and can hit up to 5 ground enemies. It's a pretty neat first and AFK skill, but since it barely increases the chance to activate her talent 1, her other skills are a better choice. Skill 2 will make her strike the enemy twice, or thrice to blocked target, each dealing a pretty big physical damage. And the best part is that it guarantees her talent 1 to be active, leading to bigger damage. This should be a good choice if you need to spam tremble to the enemy. As for skill 3, it's her most damaging skill. She will attack 10 times to up to 6 enemies, each hit dealing an increased damage, drag enemies towards her, and apply her talent 1. Then there is the last hit that will pull the enemy with a significant force, and a bigger damage. Additionally, probably the best part about this skill, is that it is a freaking auto recovery. So you don't need for her to attack the enemy first to charge her skill. Overall, Black Knight is a great guard to have for newbies and veterans alike. She has an awesome mix of nuka, DPS and unique debuff that certainly will be useful for taking down normal enemies and even bosses. Next operator that should come after Black Knight is Ray.
オペレーター試験に合格したよ。ドクター、ロドスからのお誘い、ありがとう。
Holding a weapon that looks like coming out straight from Borderlands. Ray is our first 6-star Hunter Sniper. Hunter Sniper plays like a Mystic Caster. They hit hard, but because of their ammo mechanism, it's better to use them to attack specific targets, and don't deploy them in a high traffic of enemies. In return, Ray can deal a strong hit that can even kill some of the game's toughest bosses. Anyway, let's see her talent. Talent 1 will allow her to deploy her Sand Beast that can be deployed inside her range, and the little guy will extend her range a little bit, and increased physical damage taken by enemies inside the Sand Beast range. While Talent 2 will increase her attack when she attacks the same target. Okay, as for her skills, Skill 1 can deal critical damage, and has a push mechanism, and if you kill an enemy with this skill, Ray will obtain 2 ammo. As for Skill 2, for the passive effect, every time Ray attacks a target inside the Sand Beast range, the little bro will keep that bullet, and give it back to Ray once he is retreated, and for the active effect, Ray will get a big attack boost, expand her range, little bro's redeployment time is reduced, and it has an infinite duration. Overall it's good to be used if you need Ray to constantly attack, and doesn't need her most damaging skill. And that most damaging skill is her skill 3. She will stop attacking and quickly reload all of her ammunition. Her range expands, then attacks the enemy with an increased damage, and binds them for 2 seconds. Combining this with her talent, Rey should deal an insane amount of damage, and thanks to her interval, if you only attack one target, the bind should last until her skill ends. However, this skill doesn't go without problems. Due to the skill duration, if you activate this skill when she has depleted all of her ammo, it's going to take some valuable seconds before she starts attacking, and ended up in Rey only shooting a few times. And while this skill has great damage that is worthy to be called a boss killing skill, but Rey doesn't have any special targeting priority, like what Typhon has for example. So she might end up wasting her shot by killing a weak target that decided to enter her range. But all in all, it's manageable problems. I think Rey is still a good sniper to have if you need a physical damager that at the same time stalls the enemy with her bind. Though I don't think she's a newbie top choice. After Rey, we should get another Sui event, titled Here Are People So's. Now based on the previous events, Sui event should be Arknights global half anniversary. So we should get this around July. Okay, this event will feature another limited banner. The limited is a Sui sister called Shu. Supposedly she's the 6th sibling, and the standard 6 star is one of the most anticipated characters, Zuo. First let's talk about Lady Shu, our third 6 star guardian defender.
ドクター、こっちにおいで。ちょっと見せてみて。
Specializes in defense, healing and support. I can say she's one, if not the best healer defender in this game. Mostly thanks to her talent 1. This talent will allow her to place a buff on a tile, or so the tile as the game calls it. When she heals an operator, this green tile will then provide regeneration healing that can heal enmity ops, and a small sanctuary effect, so the operators inside will take reduced damage. And the best part is that it will stay as long as Shu is on the field. This talent is no joke, it provides good healing and protection, and make her another good addition as someone to heal enmity units. While talent 2 will give all operators some buff. The first effects apply if there are 3 operators with different classes deployed. The second applies if there are 3 in the same class. And the third applies if you have 4 Sui operators in the squad. For skills, she has a good set of skills, which pretty much makes her M9 worthy. Skill 1 is the same as Neril and Saria. It will heal surrounding ally when their HP drops below 50%. A reliable skill that might still have its use in endgame content. However, the downside is probably that she can't quickly spread her talent 1. Skill 2 is a great healing and defense skill. It expands her range, now only focusing on healing. Attack and block count increases, and now talent 1 will multiply, making units inside the green tile to receive more eager healing and bigger protection. Meanwhile, skill 3 is her most unique skill. It expands her range widely, attack increases, can attack and heal simultaneously. All operators gain buff if there are ground enemies inside the green tiles. And the most interesting effect is that when the ground enemy inside the green tiles moves 2 tiles distance away, she will freaking teleport them back, Prince of Persia style. I think Shu is one of the greatest defenders to ever grace this realm. She has a strong ability to keep herself and other operators alive against various threats. Has nice support abilities, and a unique stalling skill 3. Definitely a great addition to your roster. Alright, last operator in this video is Zuo, and he's our second 6 star Musa guard.
奇遇ですね。おや、私に話があるのでは?
Zuo is a unit focused on DPS and survival. Like all Musa, he is an enmity unit, and gain plenty of benefits when his HP drops. Like all other Musa, his talent 1 gives him more attack speed the lower his HP gets, with an addition of SP recovery boost. Talent 2 also boosts his SP recovery, by giving him some chance to obtain 1 SP when attacking, and the chance will be bigger if his drop below 50%. Thanks to both of these talents, his SP recovery is simply put insane. and he's able to spam the hell out of his skills. Then let's talk about his skills. Skill 1 is the next attack type that deal critical damage and deal additional strikes depending on his current HP. Skill 2 is arguably his best skill in general. It's essentially an advanced version of Eyjafjalla 2. He will lose 50% HP, but also gain some barrier. That sadly will decay after the skill ends. But considering his kit, it's not exactly a bad thing. And under certain circumstances, he should be able to charge the skill again before he even loses the barrier. Also, his attack and block increases, and he now attacks multiple targets. Now from the description it looks nothing interesting. And well, it's not exactly a very hard-hitting skill like from other operators we have seen. But this skill really works well with his kit. Meanwhile, skill 3 is Neukornes 2 with extra steps. It's a good burst skill that deal multiple strikes to up to 3 enemies, with double damage and stun at the last hit. And those hits will be converted into barrier instead of HP. I can say for sure Zuo is currently our best Musa guard. If you need someone to solo lane, he is definitely a great choice. So, that's all the upcoming Arknights 6-star operator after Eyja, Alter and Missy. Which one will you prioritize, ladies and gents? That should be all. Adios.